Today we're speedrunning Stardew Valley and we'll be completing the entire community center. Now right at the beginning we want to make our character a woman, set mine rewards to remixed, and our farm to the forest farm, all for reasons I'll explain later. Then the speedrun starts as soon as we press OK. On the first we want to move both our bed and TV closer to the door since we'll be doing a lot of sleeping for this run. After that it's time to clear a small part of our farm and plant the 15 parsnips that the game gives us. Then to finish the day we want to cut trees until we have around 50 wood before heading to sleep at 8 AM. Yeah, being a farmer is tough. From here we're going to solely focus on growing our parsnips so we can wake up, water our seeds, go back to sleep, and repeat. The third day will also always be a rain day, so we don't even have to wake up that day. And finally we do some more watering on the 4th. Now at this point we want to get a good luck day on either the 5th or 6th, otherwise we need to reset the run. Luckily we got one on the 6th though, so we're going to the mines. But before that we want to make a chest for the stuff we don't want to bring with us using our 50 wood, get parsnips from the farm for energy, and head to the right of the farm to find any extra forageables. How forageables work is they start spawning every Sunday and don't despawn till the following Sunday. So by getting them on Saturday, we can take all the forageables that spawn throughout the week. By the bus stop, we found a daffodil, dandelion, and leek, which we put into our chest to turn in for the spring foraging bundle, and then we can find our wild horseradish by running up through our farm on the way to the mines. And finally, once we make it to the mines, we get a free sword. We'll also want to throw a horseradish on this first floor so we can save it for bundles and not have it take up our limited inventory space. Now for the mines, we have a few different objectives, but the main ones are to get 120 copper ore, 80 iron ore, 33 coal, 1 jade, and to get a total of 3,000 gold by selling any extra stuff we find. So yeah, there's a lot to do, which is why this will be over 2 to 3 days. Especially since if we want to get our 80 iron ore, we definitely need to make it to at least floor 40. So the plan is to always try to go down as fast as possible and just pick up the valuables around us as we do that. With this strategy, day 1 of the mines went really well. We consistently made it down a lot of floors, got high value items like an emerald and geodes, which sell for 250 gold and 50 gold a piece, and made it to floor 30, which is really good for day 1. The one issue though is we never really found a good weapon, which will make future floors and enemies a lot harder. But anyways, from here we'll hit the air with our pickaxe to waste energy, pass out, and spawn the next day in our bed. Then we can place our community center items in the chest and sell everything else in our shipping container, which resulted in making around 1800 gold, a pretty good start. Now we have until day 12 to finish the mines, so we want to sleep until we get another good luck day, which we found on the 8th. So for this day, let's talk about our weapon, the elf blade. We got this because we set our mines to remix, so instead of getting the usual steel small sword that you get on floor 20, we got this, though what we really wanted was a wood club. The daggers in this game have really short range, but are fast with good damage, so it kind of makes up for that. The real issue with it will come in much later in the run though, since the enemies don't do too much damage just yet. Still kind of a problem though, as you can see by this amazing gameplay. But other than that, we found more fast ladders down and made it to floor 40 in really good time, which meant we were no longer going to focus on going down, and instead just grind out the rest of the stuff we need. So the general strategy is to reset the 40th floor over and over to hopefully find big amounts of iron. I also really like to find a frozen geode in this section, since in one of my previous runs I wasted like 5 minutes at the end trying to look for it, so it was a good find. And there was some other good stuff we got like an aquamarine and jade, which we'll talk about later. Another thing that happened here is through some lucky ladders, we somehow got to floor 45, which won't help us right now, but that means later in the run when we try to get to floor 80, it'll be a bit faster. Other than that, we got all the iron, copper, and coal we needed, so things were looking good when we passed out. The only problem of course though was the lack of inventory space, so we left a frozen tier and some geodes behind. Then after keeping the stuff we needed and selling the rest, we unfortunately didn't have enough money, so I had to come back for the stuff I left and mine for a few more things, but at least it was a pretty small time loss since we still finished this day fast. I should also probably mention that we got a cat from Marnie on the start of this day, which is always a bad idea and you'll very much see why later, but my Twitch chat would have been too upset if I abandoned the cat, so unlucky. Anyways, after all that, I decided to walk home from the mine since we still had a lot of energy. Then I sold all my extra things and made 2 furnaces since it was time to smelt the iron and copper we collected from the mines every day. But other than that, we're heading back to the DGen sleeping life. Finally though, on day 13, it's time to wake back up and set up our farm for some more planting. Here we want to clear a fairly big section of the farm before hoeing and watering the ground in this really strange pattern. Don't worry, you'll understand why we do this in just a little bit. I'll also place a scarecrow right here to hit the whole field and collect the journal bonuses we get from playing the game to put us at 3,200 gold total. And after finishing that, we can head over to Pelican Town's Egg Festival. But instead of, having any sort of social life, we're gonna do the exact opposite by talking to Pierre, buying 32 strawberry seeds, and leaving before we have to talk to anyone else. What a good day. Especially since strawberries are really good to get some early game money. What we'll do here is plant all of them in the spots we hoed earlier and get back to smelting and sleeping. Now for the next while, the only thing we have to do other than smelting is watering our plants. We really hope for rain days here though, since that means we can skip watering altogether and save around 30 seconds each time we don't need to. And my luck was pretty good this time since I ended up getting quite a few rain days this run, which was really nice. And finally on the 23rd of the month, we can harvest our strawberries and water them for the last time. This is because by collecting the fruit, we also leveled up our farming and can finally make sprinklers, which is why we also needed so much coal, iron, and copper by the way, and why we planted our strawberries in such a weird pattern since it lets us keep them really tightly packed. And strawberries are nice because they keep growing through the season, so we're able to sleep until the 28th and do our last harvest of the spring then, which means it's summertime and there's a lot more to do. First, we want to clear a larger section of our field, place our 7 remaining sprinklers, and create a bunch more spaces for plants with the same pattern as before. We'll also want to create this spot for a quality sprinkler that we'll get for free from a bundle later. And then before heading over to town, I like making a second chest so we can store the items we need for the community center separate from everything else, so we're just a little bit more organized. Then on the way to town, we'll also pick up a grape that we can use for the summer foraging bundle. And right here, for the first time in the run, we see the community center. Obviously we're not going to go over there just yet, but it's nice to get a quick glimpse after an hour of playing. Instead of checking it out, we need to visit Pierre where we can sell all of our strawberries and buy 62 blueberry seeds, 1 melon seed, 1 tomato seed, 1 pepper seed, 64 wheat seeds, and a backpack upgrade so we can now carry twice the stuff. Then we'll plant all the seeds except for the pepper, making sure to plant our wheat seeds on the spots without a sprinkler. Wheat only takes 4 days of watering to grow, so we're just gonna hope we get at least 4 rain days throughout the summer. Then since we have sprinklers on the other plants, we can go to sleep until the 15th where we'll harvest everything except for the wheat, place the hot pepper where the melon was, and sleep once again. And much like the strawberries from spring, after blueberries finish growing the first time, you can harvest them every 4 days. So right on the 19th, we get another harvest and reach farming level 5, which allows us to get the tiller upgrade. So now all our crops will be worth 10% more for the rest of the run. And at this point, since we have the upgrade, we can actually do some selling. On the 20th of summer, we're gonna go back out, but we need to wait until 9 AM to visit Pierre, so we'll do a few things beforehand, like checking the bus stop for our remaining summer forageables, the spiceberry and sweet pea. After that, we'll go back to the farm and use some wood to make paths. This will make it so that things like trees won't grow in the areas we put a path on, which is really nice since it would get annoying to cut them down every time we go through. Now at around 8, we want to head to the community center and touch the bundle there. We can't understand the language just yet or do any bundles, but we need to touch it so that the wizard will send us a letter later and he can teach us how to read. Next, we want to go to Pierre and sell everything except our melon since we only have one, before going to Clint's and getting a total of 70 copper ore, 70 iron ore, and 28 coal. Though since we got extra iron in the caves and already have 3 iron bars, we can change that 70 iron to just 55. And finally, before heading back, we want to check the beach for some of their forageables like a mussel, sea urchin, and clam, all of which we'll save for the community center, which means we're back to sleeping, though we'll start smelting our new iron and copper every day, as well as go out every 4 days to harvest our blueberries. Eventually we make it into fall, and immediately we want to check our mail to get an invitation from the wizard and 500 gold from our dad. See, the reason we chose a female character for the run was because after you earn 5,000 gold, your dad sends you an additional 500, while if we chose a man, our mom would send us cookies. Then after that, we get to clearing the field. Also, because we got more than 4 rain days in the summer, I can finally harvest our wheat. Thankfully, it's a crop that can be grown both in the summer and fall, so it doesn't die when changing seasons, and it keeps those spots ready for other crops later in the day. So now we're gonna get all of our wheat, hay, summer crops, and forageables before heading over to the wizard's house. On the way, we also want to make some more wooden paths like earlier, so we won't have to constantly cut down trees, and we'll find the wizard's house on the bottom left of the cinder sap forest. Of course, we won't really be listening to what he has to say since that's a lot of work, but through this interaction, we can now read the community center writing and communicate with the Junimos. So we now want to head right over to the community center and start turning stuff in. First, we have the spring foraging bundle and the summer foraging bundle, as well as turning in a common mushroom and morsel I found for their respective bundles, which gives us 2 bags of mixed seeds that we can sell to Pierre. Then we head over to the pantry to turn in the summer crops bundle and get a quality sprinkler, before finally going to the bulletin board to turn in some hay and wheat for the fodder bundle. Then we go straight to Pierre's and sell over leftover goods in order to use that money to buy 125 pumpkin seeds, 1 corn seed, 1 eggplant seed, and 1 yam seed. Now finally we can plant all the seeds we just got, as well as use the copper and iron we've been smelting to make 14 more sprinklers. One more thing I should mention is I did decide to make 1 extra scarecrow for safety. If you place everything perfectly, it should be compact enough to only need 1 scarecrow, but it's risky and barely saves any time, so might as well add 1 more. And with that out of the way, we can finally head to bed and sleep till the 8th, since that was our first rain day of the season. And the nice thing about rain days is there are a few fish we need that only show up in the rain, so this will be the perfect time to get a lot of our fishing done. We're gonna go to the beach, and on the way I picked up a wild plum and blackberry, which are more fall forageables. Then when we get to the beach, Willie calls us over and gives us a free fishing rod. Now there's a ton of fish we'll want to catch today, but different fish are available at different times, so there's a specific order we'll follow. To start though, we got lucky and got a sunfish. Usually this fish can only be caught during the spring and summer during sunny weather, but there's a chance to get it as your first tutorial cast since the game doesn't think you'll wait this long to learn how to fish. And from there we want to find a seaweed for way later in the run, a sardine which is a pretty wiggly little guy, and a red snapper who's really easy to catch since it just hangs out. Now we got those fish way faster than I usually do, so we could head into Willie's shop at 9 to get 4 trout soup and a training rod before going to the river in town. We want the training rod since it can filter out higher difficulty fish, which you'll see a bit later. For now though, we want to go to this area of the river, eat a trout soup to make fishing easier, and begin looking for a catfish, tiger trout, walleye, and shad. Now one thing I should mention about fishing is you can tell what fish it is based on how it moves. For example, this fish is extremely wiggly and doesn't move in big swooping motions, so we know it's a tiger trout. And I somehow played my very first tiger trout extremely well and caught it, meaning if we see a fish moving like that again, we can cancel the catch by pressing escape and save time. Second fish I got was a shad, which we know since it moves steadily to about halfway between line 2 and 3 of the bar, and then kinda just hangs out. The walleye also has this exact same pattern, but it can only be caught after noon, so this one had to be a shad. And right at 12:10, we got a similar fish, meaning it might be a walleye, and it turned out to be one, so that was pretty good. And then even better, at just 1:20, we found a fish that moves far up and down in really fast motions, which is always going to be the catfish, so that's all 4 river fish we want for now, and we did it faster than I ever have before. So now that I had extra time, I went over to the bar to get 15 coffees, which are a speed buff, and the maki roll recipe, which we'll be using at the end of the run. But after that, we didn't really have much to do until 4 p.m. when the eel spawns in the ocean. So since I had time, I tried to see if we could find any additional forageables, though we didn't, and went over to the ocean when the eel would finally spawn. This though is where my luck kinda died. The eel has a very obvious pattern where it quickly goes near the top, stops, and then goes back down. But this guy just didn't want to show up. Even so, it wasn't actually a bad thing, since while I was trying to find him, I caught an albacore which kinda looks like an eel, and got a treasure chest with a fire quartz in it. This was crazy good luck, because now it means we won't have to go looking for it later in the run, so hey, I'll take it. And after a bit longer, the eel finally showed up with its pretty easy pattern, and honestly maybe it doesn't really look like an albacore, but either way, we only have 1 fish left for today, the bream. This guy sent us back to the river, where we could use our training rod to filter out difficult fish. For example, you can never find a catfish with a training rod. Thankfully, the bream didn't take nearly as long to find, and has a really easy pattern of moving up to the second line of the bar, and then not moving at all, so that's all the fishing for today done, which meant back to sleeping until we're on to the 15th. To start this day, we want to bring our 4 fall crops, forageables, fish, and any other community center bundle stuff we can fit in our inventory. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find our last fall forageable on the way, so we'll need to get that later, but we turned in the wild plum and blackberry, a cave carrot, everything for the fall crops bundle, which gave us a bee house to make honey, some crab pot stuff, our river fish bundle, night fish bundle, a sardine and red snapper for the ocean fish bundle, and the sea urchin we found for the dye bundle, before finally making it back to our farm. From here, we want to put the beehive down, clear out this section to the right of our farm to place a coop, pick up all our pumpkins, and head to Pierre's, drinking a coffee on the way for a speed boost. But this time, we don't actually want to sell all of our pumpkins, since we'll be preserving some. I ended up selling down to 50 basic quality pumpkins, so I could buy the 128 pumpkin seeds we'd be using for today, and the other stuff we need to buy. Like how it Clint's, we want to get 25 copper ore and 85 coal. Then we'll head over to Robin's, picking up a hazelnut, our last fall forageable on the way, before getting 500 stone 800 wood, and a coop. Then finally we can head home, but before sleeping I went to the left of our farm to pick up some red and purple mushrooms for more bundles. This is the reason we chose the forest farm, by the way, since it spawns things like these. Now we'll plant all our pumpkin seeds and use the coal, wood, and stone we got to make 10 preserve jars, which increased the value of our pumpkins by a lot, while probably making our house smell really bad. So yeah, there was a lot to do this day, but now we're back to doing nothing but sleeping, smelting our 5 copper bars, and jarring new pumpkins every 3 days. Then on the last day of fall, we can harvest the rest of the pumpkins and go to year 1 winter, where we'll be doing even less. All we're doing for the first half of winter is jarring pumpkins and sleeping. Then once we reach 90 pickled pumpkins, we'll sell those, place 5 gold quality pumpkins in our community center chest for later, and head back to sleep. Then on the 19th, it's time to play the game again. On this day, we want to make sure we bring our hoe, axe, and 5 copper bars. Also, before we head out, this is a good time to clear the area to the left of our house so we can construct a barn. Then we're heading down while getting a few winter forageables like the winter root, crystal fruit, and snow yam. This is also a good time to check the traveling cart, which is a shop that shows up on Fridays and Sundays and can sell a bunch of items for the community center. The big thing we want from here is the pufferfish, which we didn't get this time, but we'll check for it a few more times in the future. Our next stop is the beach so we can get a nautilus shell, and then Clint's to get 25 iron ore, 15 copper ore, 8 coal, and an upgrade for our axe. After that, we head to Robin's to build our barn. And on the way I found a crocus, which is our last winter forageable, so that's nice to have. And then we bought 2,500 wood, 1,100 stone, and a barn. Finally, we'll head back to sleep, making sure to load our furnaces with the iron and copper we just bought while we continue to jar pumpkins. And really quickly, the winter ends, so we're on to year 2. And year 2 starts out with the obvious, hoeing a bunch of spots to plant stuff later. The only problem is we don't have our axe back yet from Clint, so we'll need to deal with the twigs later on. After that, it's time to go to our farm cave. Earlier in the game, we set our cave to have bats, meaning we get fruit from it. And from this cave, we can get things for the artisan bundle, like with this time we got an orange, apple, peach, and apricot. Next, we're heading to Pierre's, where we want to sell pickles until we have around 23,000 gold. We don't want to sell everything we have just yet though, because in a little bit we're going to get an upgrade to make pickles worth more. Then we can buy 135 cauliflower, 1 parsnip seed, 1 bean starter, and 1 potato seed. After that, we visit Clint's to pick up our copper axe, Robin's to upgrade our barn to a big barn, and finally back home to plant all the stuff we just bought and make a tapper to get some oak resin before sleeping another 12 days. Now on the 13th, we go out to the shipping bin another time to ship 37 pickled pumpkins, since we need 25,000 gold the following day, but again, we need to make sure not to go over. And on the 14th, it's time to harvest everything and plant the remaining cauliflower we bought before heading over to the community center. On this turn-in, we add some mushrooms to the exotic foraging bundle, complete the winter foraging bundle, complete the fall foraging bundle, and get seeds from the completed bundles to sell. Then we go to the pantry to complete the spring crops bundle, put a bunch of stuff in the artisan bundle, and add our 5 gold quality pumpkins to the quality crop bundle. Third is the bulletin board, where we put our oak resin into the enchanters bundle, a purple mushroom, nautilus shell, and frozen geode into the field research bundle, and red mushroom into the dye bundle. Then fourth is the vault, where we bring the 25,000 gold we just got to complete the largest money bundle and get a crystallarium. And finally, we go to the boiler room to give our regular quartz and red quartz to the geologist bundle. So yeah, that was a lot. But the main reason for this turn-in was so that we could get the crystallarium to make the jade I got back in the mines become useful. Now, along with pickling our cauliflowers, we also want to place a jade in the crystallarium to get an additional one every 2 days. Finally, we'll head to sleep and get level 10 farming, which means we can get the artisan profession that gives our pickles 40% more worth, which is absolutely crazy, and you can probably see why we waited to sell everything. But as for the things we're doing this season, that's about it. We'll just continue to pickle cauliflowers and get more jades until the 27th, where we'll harvest our remaining crops, and the 28th, where we'll finally sell all of our pickles. So we're on to our second summer, and like usual, there's a lot of stuff we need to do for the first day. We'll start with hoeing the ground, and then we need to get our fishing stuff out and go over to the beach. Here we'll go over to Willie's shop to pick up a fiberglass rod, a bunch of bait, and some more trout soup. And now we're on to fishing for the tuna and tilapia. The tilapia is a fairly active fish, but it's pretty easy to catch with the fiberglass pole. and then the tuna pretty much has the exact same pattern the eel had, and much like the eel, it took forever to show up. Luckily, we still had enough time to do the other things we needed, and we got a diamond and jade along with the tuna, so I'll take it. Next, we need to upgrade our axe one more time, so we do that with Clint before heading on our way to Pierre's. And on the way there, we want to put a chair in front of Pam's trailer for a reason I'll explain a bit later. After that, we can buy 25 melon seeds, 10 corn seeds, 2 poppy seeds, 2 sunflower seeds, 75 red cabbage seeds, 1 rice, and 1 apple sapling. Our last stop before heading home is of course Robin to upgrade our coop to a big coop, but I actually made a mistake and completely forgot my wood and stone. I would have had enough time to go get them, but our cat was completely in the way. Told you the cat's kind of annoying. Not too much of a deal though, since we'll just upgrade our coop later, and for now we can plant all of our stuff. One thing we want to do for the corn and melons though is craft basic fertilizer before planting them. For our bundles, we need at least 5 gold quality of each, and the fertilizer helps with that. Everything else we could normally plant though, and then sleep till the 5th since we still need to upgrade our coop. But here's where I found out that the cat messing up our speed was actually a blessing in disguise. See, we needed to wait until 9 PM for Robin's shop to open, so I decided to check the traveling cart while waiting. And in the traveling cart, we got a sturgeon, one of the hardest fish we need to catch, so that was insane. Sorry for doubting you, cat, you know best. Anyways, now all that was left was to upgrade the coop and sleep until the 12th, where we could sell all of our cauliflower pickles, and the 13th, where it was fishing time again. Before fishing though, we needed to harvest all our crops and bring some trout soup and our fiberglass rod. Now the fishing place we're going to this time is the mountain lake. So normally we need the sturgeon, bullhead, largemouth bass, chub, and carp. But since the sturgeon was no longer a problem, this fishing day was much easier than normal. First we got the carp, which is a really calm fish that slowly moves. Next was the largemouth bass, which goes up about halfway and then sometimes does fast movements. Third was the bullhead, which is like the largemouth bass, but a bit more calm. And finally we got the chub, which stays near the bottom, but is really wiggly. Now we could upgrade the coop one more time with Robin, collect our steel axe from Clint, get a crab pot from Willie for our remaining crab pot bundle items, start pickling red cabbages, and sleep. Then on the 18th, we'll sell all our pickles and gold quality raw cauliflowers since we need a good amount of money for the 19th. Now on the 19th, we're finally going to do our last big harvest of crops before clearing out the spot below our coop so we can move the barn there and heading over to the secret woods now that we have an axe that can cut the large logs blocking it. On the way, we'll check the traveling cart again, and this time I got a large milk, which means we won't need to buy a cow. In the secret woods now, we need 2 things. The first is a fiddlehead fern, and the second is a wood skip. I got both pretty quickly too, meaning we can head over to Marnie's ranch. Here we want to buy a rabbit and duck right now, and we'll buy the rest of the animals we need later. Finally, we make it to Robin's and do our last upgrade on the barn. So now we're really close to the end of the speedrun, just a few more things to do. Now we'll go home and sleep till the 28th, which is the day we start taking care of our animals. First, we want to refill the coop and barn with leftover hay we got from the wheat earlier in the speedrun, and we want to check the farm cave another time for more forageables. Unfortunately though, we didn't get a pomegranate, which is really important for completing the speedrun, so I decided to go to Pierre's and get a pomegranate tree. Trees take a month to start producing fruit, so by doing this, we should get 1 pomegranate just before winter, and it's a nice backup in case the cave doesn't work. Next, it was time to go to Marnie's ranch and buy a pig, second duck, second rabbit, white chicken, and brown chicken, along with a bunch of hay. Finally, I went to the traveling cart, and thankfully it had a pufferfish, so that's one more difficult fish I no longer had to worry about, and I could return home petting all my animals except the pig. Oh, and the next day, I also switched my tapper over to a maple tree for maple syrup. But now, every day until we get all the animal products we need, I need to pet all the animals to make them happy and give them more hay. Though again, the pig doesn't need pets, so sorry buddy. For the ducks, we want a duck egg and duck feather, which we got super early. Then the rabbits, we want some of their fur and a rabbit's foot. From the chickens, we want a large white and large brown egg. And finally, from the pig, we wanted a truffle, which he finds on the ground, and we use the 19th to let him do that. Basically, how pigs work is they have a 0.02% chance on every frame to generate a truffle. So the longer we let them do their thing, the more likely we are to get one. Which meant on the 19th, we use this day to turn in more community center stuff and hope we get a truffle when coming back. On this day, I turned in our full animal bundle, the rest of the crab pot bundle, our wood skip and pufferfish for the specialty fish bundle, the remaining ocean fish bundle, the lake fish bundle, a poppy and maple syrup for the chef's bundle, the duck feather and sunflower for the dye bundle, a chub to finish the field research bundle, a rabbit's foot for the enchanter bundle, and a bunch of money to finish out all the vault bundles, meaning our bus will work again starting the next day. And thankfully, when I came back, Our pig dropped the truffle we needed, so things were looking really good. And we might as well turn in some more bundle stuff, so I went back to the community center to turn in hardwood for the construction bundle, finish the artisan bundle, finish the quality crops bundle, which meant the pantry is done, turn in our fiddlehead fern and truffle to the chef's bundle, some apples to complete the fodder bundle, our aquamarine and red cabbage to finish the dye bundle, and finally a frozen tear and earth crystal to finish the geologist bundle. So yeah, that was a lot, but you can really start to see that we're almost to the end. Oh, I also found a pomegranate in our cave, so guess I didn't need to buy the tree, but better safe than sorry. And we put an apple in the keg we got from the artisan bundle to make wine. But now, time to head to sleep and do our last major things on the 28th. See, once we make it to the 28th of fall, we should have a total of 36 jades, which we'll be trading in a bit. But we need to wait for Pam to get to the bus stop first, so we can use this time to get some more wood by cutting down trees. This is also why we put the chair in front of Pam's trailer earlier, by the way, since it makes her move faster and get over to the bus quicker. Once she's there, we'll get a ticket to the desert, and we want to first pick up a coconut and cactus fruit before going for the sandfish, who's a pretty easy catch. Then we go to the desert trader, who gives us 36 staircases for 36 jade, which we'll be taking to the mines. Because in the mines, we still need a few more important drops, which are found on floor 80. But before we get there, we'll visit Robin to upgrade our house, and buy the remaining wood we need for the rest of the run. Now onto the mines, it's pretty simple. We'll just drop a staircase and go to the next floor, picking up anything if we need it for the bundles, like how we needed one more iron bar, so we mined 5 iron ores. Then on floor 60, we can go fishing for our last specialty fish, the ghost fish, who's another easy catch. Also, after all this time, the remixed mines came in clutch, and we got a cutlass on floor 60, which meant we could finally replace the elf blade. The cutlass then helped us take out a ghost, which means we got a solar essence, and then even better than that, on floor 80, we got a cudgel, which is a club. Clubs are really good in this game, since if you use their special attack by right clicking and then spam left click, you get a ton of damage in. So that helped us finally take out this guy and get a void essence. Then normally we'd have to reset floor 80 to find a fire quartz, but since we got it earlier, we don't have to. It's really nice. So yeah, after all that time, it's time to sleep 2 more days and wait for our house upgrade to be finished so we can get a kitchen and cook a fried egg and maki roll. Though for the maki roll, I was being really stupid and accidentally used my ghost fish for it instead of my smallmouth bass, so it looks like we need to visit the mines one last time. At the very least, we could elevator right to floor 60, so it didn't lose too much time, and I brought all my remaining community center items with me, so right after catching the second ghost fish, it was time to beat the speedrun. I started with finishing the exotic foraging bundle and construction bundle, meaning the crafts room was complete. Then at the fish tank, I brought the specialty fish, so the fish tank is done too. Third was the bulletin board, where I completed the enchanter's bundle and chef's bundle, before also grabbing 5 gold as one of the rewards, and that's the bulletin board done. And finally, to complete the boiler room, we finished the adventurer's bundle and used the gold we just got as well as other bars we smelted earlier to finish the blacksmith's bundle. So finally, the speedrun ends with the flash of the screen, giving us a time of 3 hours, 54 minutes, and 37 seconds, which puts us at 7th place on the leaderboards. Alright, subscribe if you enjoyed. Bye.